Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is perfume. But before we jump into the perfume reviews, let's talk about some housekeeping things. First, you might notice the setup looking a little bit different. I actually have purchased a ring light. I was very inspired by my last video that I did with CJ. He has a really lovely lighting setup, and I really think it makes a difference, mostly because it will help me to have more flexibility of when I actually am able to film. It is a relatively sunny day out today, but as you probably know, it rains a lot here in Portland. So when the weather is getting kind of moody and not cooperating with me, this will allow me to film on days in which it is getting pretty dark because of the rain, and also because the days are getting shorter. I have it on the ring light has a stand, so it might just, the positioning of everything might look a little bit different, and I'm actually sitting in a chair at the table rather than this like bar stool that I used to sit on, so the whole positioning might look a little bit different. I also wanted to mention that somebody else, I think it was Danielle in her video, mentioned that she was having comments deleted. So I always thought that people just, wrote a comment and then changed their mind and didn't want to post it and deleted it. But I think maybe there's something going on with YouTube and comments being deleted. I'm not deleting them. So if you've written a comment and you see that it's been deleted, I'm not deleting it. I've never deleted a comment except for ones that are very obviously spam comments. So if you've noticed that a comment has been deleted, I'm not deleting it. So I don't know what's going on with that. I apologize, but all I can say is just give it another try to post a comment. Maybe come back a few minutes later and try again. So I apologize for that, but I am not deleting your comments. Just know that for sure. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is very relevant because I'm talking about perfume here, as some of you may know, and this was probably, I don't know, back in March, I think it was March, and I helped launch a business called Potion, and that is a online, right now it's just online, and that is a online e-tailer that is selling strictly all natural perfumes. And I helped launch the business, and at the time I wasn't too sure, how long I was going to be with the business, if it was going to be something that I was going to be a part of the inner workings day to day for, a really long period of time, or if it was just going to be for 6 months. And I've decided that I'm definitely not a, business woman. That's not really for me. So I decided to take a step back. So I'm not going to be part of the day-to-day business operations of Potion anymore. But I wanted to, for full disclosure, because I was a part of the launch and a part of the, the plan of that was that I would have a small, very small part of equity in the business for helping the business launch. So even though I'm not a part of the business anymore, I do have a vested interest, obviously, in Potion doing well. So if I do mention a perfume that is carried at Potion, obviously I love all the perfumes that are there. I'm not going to be talking about a perfume that is carried there unless I absolutely love it. I'm not going to be having any affiliate links with Potion, but of course I want the business to do well. So just so you know that there is that relationship there with Potion, but again, there's no affiliate links or anything linked over to Potion. So when I link to Potion, it's not an affiliate link. But anyway, I just wanted to be, that full disclosure in regards to my relationship with Potion. So yeah, speaking of that, the first perfume that I'm going to review is a perfume that is carried at Potion. I first learned about it because of my relationship with Potion. It is Perfumera Curandera, and I had heard about them before, but like I said, I'd never tried their perfumes until I was sent this perfume just to try and see if we wanted to carry them. And this is Cielo, and now I'm going to try and see how the lighting works out with my new light, and it seems to be better. Okay, so I think that's focusing in there. And it is a very tiny bottle. I believe it's 5 mils, and it is $90. So it is quite expensive, but it is a very, very special perfume. And I just learned that I think that Oprah featured this in her September magazine. So Oprah likes it. or her people like it, I guess I should say. I absolutely adore this perfume. It has become one of my favorites. I'm totally obsessed with it. Because it is small and it is quite expensive, I do use it sparingly because I just want this to last forever. But it has notes of jasmine, sambac, and neroli, so it really is very floral forward, and the jasmine sambac is just exquisite. I mean, as you guys know, I'm just completely obsessed with that, with the jasmine sambac, and I completely love it, and I can't get enough of it. It also has tobacco in it, oolong tea, and yuzu. So I feel like the tobacco and the jasmine, that is one of my favorite pairings, and I feel like it's very kind of mysterious and kind of sexy together. And then the yuzu is kind of a spicy citrus, which I think is really unique. And then, what else did I want to say? I have some notes here. And then I think the tea note makes it more, it kind of helps ground the scent. So it has a lot of interesting aspects to it. And like I said, I can't get enough of it. I'm totally obsessed with it. And even though it's very small and it is very expensive, I do think it, for me personally, and again, like also with green beauty just in general and skincare and price points and everything, it's really up for you to decide if you think that something is worth it. If something is really expensive, for me, this would be very worth it because I feel like when I put it on, it's one of those perfumes that just really speaks to me, and I love how it makes me feel. So this is available at Potion. They still do have this in stock. I do know that. And also the Perfumera Curandera site is really lovely and beautiful, and you can go and explore their perfumes and all the other offerings, because all of their perfumes are really amazing. I really love them all. So like I said, it's $90 for 5 mils, so very expensive, but super, super special. And this has just become one of my favorites. Another perfume that I am just completely in love with, this also is super special, is the new Ojai Wild Chamomile Flowers. And their boxes are just so stunning. I don't think I really need to put my hand behind that for you guys to see it. Hopefully you can get a feel for what the box looks like. And one thing that I've mentioned before about these boxes, one of my favorite things, is it has a little lip on it, so you do not tear up the box when you open it. I think that's such a nice touch. And the bottle is really beautiful. What is really special about this is a part of their archival line. So this is limited edition, only 300 bottles were produced. And if I didn't say before, this is chamomile flowers. And what is special about the Ojai Wild line in general is there's always one essence in here. Usually it's the name of the perfume, the namesake essence is a raw botanical extract. So that means there was no heat or there was no heat or no chemicals that were used to extract that particular essence. So the chamomile in here is the raw essence, the raw botanical extract. There's also champaka, linden, and neroli in here, so that gives it kind of the floral aspect. There's also tonka in here. What I love about tonka is that kind of gives it a very comforting aspect to it. It has vanilla, it's got like a vanilla almond, and it's almost like a cinnamony hint to it. Tonka is just really beautiful if you've never smelled that before. It also has Australian sandalwood in it, which of course gives it that woodsy scent, and then sage, so that's going to be very herbal and aromatic. And I have been wearing this almost every day since I got it, and I find this to be just like almost the perfect autumnal perfume because of that. I mean, it's definitely floral, but I think it leans more on that kind of aromatic, resinous side. But because it has those floral essences in it as well, it's just really well balanced. And in terms of longevity, I find that this has probably the best longevity of all the Ojai Wild perfumes or fragrances. So was there anything else? Oh yeah, and I just wanted to say price-wise, this is $110 for 30 mils, and it's definitely available on the Ojai Wild website. I'm not too sure where else it's available at because it is limited edition. I don't know if it's going to be available at other retailers, but right now it is available on the website, and it is just gorgeous. I really love it a lot. So beautiful. Okay, so moving on, I don't have a full bottle of this next perfume. I was just sent the samples, and this is from Providence Perfume Company. These are samples of the Lemon Liata. This is also limited edition, and this is a cologne. And when Charna, the creator of Providence Perfume, says cologne, she doesn't mean like cologne just for men. It's for both men and women. She just means cologne in terms of the concentration of the essences in here. So cologne is going to be 3 to 5%. So this is their limited edition summertime fragrance, although I just received this at the end of August. So timing wise, not the best, but I will say I am not like a big stickler on what's a summer perfume, what's a fall perfume, what's a winter perfume. I think that, you know, obviously you can wear any perfume anytime you want. I don't think there should be any rules on that. And so let me talk to you about the notes here. So it has cedrat in it, and if I can find a picture to post, I will, so that you guys can see what that looks like. That's basically, it's just a citrus fruit. It also has verbena in it, petite grain, pink lotus, and orris butter. Those are the main notes in here. I would say for me, I mostly get verbena from this cologne, and I adore verbena. So this for me is a huge, huge hit. If you are a verbena fan, you have got to check this out. The orris butter in it, orris has kind of an earthy aspect to it. So even though this is pretty like hyper citrusy, and it's kind of interesting because even though this is called Lemon Liata, it doesn't have any lemon notes in it. But so even though this has a lot of citrus in it from the kind of the verbena and the cedrat, and also the petite grain, you know, which is, you know, the orange, not the orange blossom, but from the bitter orange tree, it's the roots and the leaves, the essence from that. It gets grounded from the earthiness from the orris butter. It also has mimosa in it, which is floral, and kind of like, I always think of it as kind of a buzzy floral fragrance to me, kind of registers high for me. So the orris butter grounds it just a little bit, and in a weird way, it kind of, I don't know if the butter is just being suggestive to me, the word butter, but it kind of has a creaminess to it as well. So for me, even though it seems kind of summery, I feel like it is one of those transition perfumes that you could wear in, or colognes I should say, that could transition into fall very well. And like today it is, you know, it's sunny outside and it just feels really perfect on these summery fall days. So Charna has come out with another fragrance called Sedona Sweetgrass. That to me seems like more of the quintessential, you know, fall, winter fragrance. So if you were kind of curious about that one, if you've seen that on your Instagram, I would highly recommend picking up one of these perfume samples as well. I keep saying perfume, one of these cologne samples as well, if you are a verbena fan. So this is just something to keep on your radar, maybe for next summer if this seems like it's just too summery for the fall and winter for you. But keep this in mind. I keep kind of waving this around, but that's what the sample card looks like. That's the back of it. Her samples are really nice. And I believe they look like they were probably about 2 ml to me. So anyway, really nice new offering from Providence Perfume, although it is limited edition, and I'm not too sure how many she has left. And it is $100 for a 1.7 ounce and $45 for a 5 ml roll-on. And her roll-ons are so cute. They're these little square bottles. They're not the typical, you know, elongated cylinder roll-ons. They're really special. I really, really like the style of her roll-ons. Moving to the next one, this is one that I've already mentioned. I talked about this in my Cat Beauty haul. This is the Goop edition number 3. And this is definitely, when you think about a fall winter fragrance, this is definitely what you have in mind. It's very cozy. It is, you know, smoky and resinous, kind of spicy. It's got frankincense, juniper, cardamom, cinnamon, labdanum, benzoin. Benzoin is like kind of vanilla-ish, very cozy. Labdanum as well. It's a resin that's very, you know, reads very cozy. And obviously you know about cardamom and cinnamon being spicy. And one thing that I, you know, say what you will about Goop. I know everybody's, you know, kind of plus minus about Goop these days, including myself. But one thing I really appreciate about the Goop website is they have a full list of their ingredients, so including all the essences that they use, and then in parentheses they tell you how the essences were extracted. So for instance, you know, it'll list frankincense is a CO2 extract, and they also have so they use two different kinds of frankincense. They have one that's a CO2 extract and one that is extracted with ethanol. They tell you that juniper is an essential oil, so that's going to be steam distilled. They tell you cardamom is an essential oil, cinnamon is an essential oil. They tell you that benzoin is ethanol extracted. So you can see how each and every essence is extracted, and then they don't use any hexane extraction. So if that's important to you, which I know it is for a lot of people, then you can see that. It's all just very transparent. And, you know, because hexane extraction is very common in perfumery, even in, you know, natural perfumery, because a lot of the absolutes are, can only be hexane extracted, and that includes, you know, jasmine and rose. A lot of them just cannot be, it's very, very expensive to be extracted with something other than hexane. So even in natural perfumery, you will find essences extracted with hexane. So anyway, if that's important to you, you might want to check out the Goop website, because it's pretty interesting to see all those ingredients just you know, parsed out with how they're extracted. So I was pretty impressed by that. You know, and not that I am a stickler by any means in terms of, you know, only using 100% natural 100% of the time, but it is nice if you want to see that all spelled out for you. So moving into the mixed media portion of this review, I wanted to separate it out. So everything I just talked about is all 100% natural. Now I'm going to move into some perfumes that are not. So this is kind of like mixed media. So this brand does use some synthetics, and so this is Skylar. And one thing that I wanted to mention about Skylar is I have reviewed them previously, and when I reviewed them, their website was really transparent with, you know, the fact that they use synthetics. It was pretty clear, clearly spelled out, and I didn't have an issue with that. And then it seemed like that information just kind of disappeared. And then that didn't really make me so happy, and I was kind of wondering if I should, you know, take down my previous, I have a YouTube review on Skylar, and I have on Scent Hive, my blog, which I'm not really posting actively right now on. I also had a website, Scent Hive review as well. So I kind of debated back and forth, and then interestingly enough, they reached out to me and wanted to know if I would review Capri for them. And I actually told them no, because I did not like the fact that they weren't being transparent with their use of synthetics. And then a few weeks later, they emailed me back and said that they actually had changed their website, and so would I be interested in doing the review? So I said yes, that I would. So what they have now is, you know, when you go to their website, it does say natural. It doesn't say like 100% natural, but they, you know, it looks like they, you know, it does say natural, but then when you go to, I think it says like products, then it does say that they use safe synthetics, that, you know, they don't use phthalates. And it just kind of talks about their philosophy of using synthetics in their perfume. So that is good. So you can find that information. The one thing that I'm not super crazy about is when you go to the specific product and you look at their ingredient list, they do say fragrance blend with natural and essential oils. So what I had recommended to them is I felt like they should have a hyperlink where it says fragrance blend, that I suggested that on fragrance blend, they should have a hyperlink that directed you to the page where it discusses their use of synthetics. They don't have that yet. They thought that that was a good idea, and I can't remember if they said they were going to do that, if they were going to consider that. But I do think that that is fuzzy language, the fragrance blend with natural and essential oils. I think that if you just looked at that, you might think that that means that they only use, that their blend is natural and essential oils. So it's not ideal, but at least they do have the page for somebody who does want to dig deeper, that they do, they are transparent with their use of synthetics. So not ideal, but better than nothing. So moving to the perfume, and I think just the brand in general, I think Skylar is a good brand, and I think this is what I said in my previous review of Skylar, that I think it's a good brand of perfume for somebody who is wanting to transition from department store perfumes into something more natural and more clean. Because this perfume, and their perfumes in general, do really smell like, what you find in a department store. So Capri is very, very sweet, and it has notes of bergamot, neroli, grapefruit, teakwood, and I would say let's just stop there with the bergamot, neroli, grapefruit. It's citrusy, but not in that really, really bright, crisp way that you would find in 100% natural perfume. It just reads like summery, you know what I mean? The teakwood, I don't really get much of the teakwood. And then it moves on to sheer vetiver. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by sheer vetiver. If the sheer vetiver is sort of like one of those, lab-made vetivers. Crystal musk, which clearly is a synthetic. Dewy rose and muguet. And muguet is definitely going to be synthetic because you can't distill lily of the valley. So for me, and I also sprayed it on this card here. For me, it's too sweet. It's not a perfume that I'm drawn to. But I can see where it would be very, very popular because it, like I said, it does sort of have that mass market appeal. This is one of those sweet, musky, leans on the kind of bright citrus side. I can see it being very, very popular, just not for me. In terms of Skylar's collection, I am much more drawn to Arrow, which is spicy, and Isle, which has cardamom and sandalwood in it. So those are definitely much more my speed. And I think the presentation is really lovely. I love the watercolor cylinder boxes that it comes in. And I think the price point is really good. It's $78 for 1.7 ounce. You can get a 1/3 ounce roller ball for $29. And those are those typical, roller balls that are all over the place that you can get at Sephora, that style of roller ball. So I think that, again, Skylar does a really good job of giving people an option who are wanting to move from the typical conventional department store perfume, and that's kind of what they're used to, and that's their style. Because if you're gonna, it's hard to go from that, if that's what you're used to, and jump straight into something like Ojai Wild or Perfumera, Curandera. It's hard. I mean, the longevity's not the same. Just the whole vibe and the feel is very, very different. So I think this is a really good transition perfume. I guess, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And I do think the language could be better because they are marketing themselves as a natural perfume. They're not saying like all natural, 100% natural, but the word natural is right there on the website. So for some people, I think it could be a little misleading if they don't dig into the product information. But I guess you could argue that somebody who's not digging into, maybe the about page and the product information maybe isn't really that concerned or that deeply concerned about, if it is truly 100% natural. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think they've improved on their transparency on their website, but they could probably do a little bit better. Now, the last line I'm going to be talking about is Riddle oil, and they are not 100% natural. You know, they just state that their perfumes don't contain any phthalates, any parabens, any formaldehydes. And, you know, from what I understand, it's just really not a big deal to say that your perfumes don't have parabens in it, because parabens are, you know, a preservative, and perfumes don't really need preservatives for the most part. If they're based in oil, you're not going to need a preservative. And then if they're based in alcohol, they don't really need a preservative. So I think kind of that paraben-free thing is sort of like saying that, you know, an apple is gluten-free, you know, that type of thing. So anyway, so the Riddle oil, they sent me their sample pack. So I have all of their fragrances. The sampler comes like this. This is what their sample bottle looks like. And so they sent me all of them in a nice little velvet pouch. And I'm just gonna kind of run through my general thoughts on Riddle. I'm not gonna go into in-depth reviews of all of them, obviously, but I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about the line in case you were curious about it. So jumping into what I liked and what I didn't really like is my least favorites were Muse and Voyeur. I don't really know how important it is to show you these, but Muse was just way, way, way too sweet. I do have the little card here that talks about them. So Muse is amber, peach, and coconut, just way too sweet. I actually feel like Muse took over. Like when I opened up the box, it all just smelled like Muse, and I kind of just need to get rid of it and set it over here. Excuse me. Because it just is all consuming, and it's just way too sweet. It's just not my style at all. Voyeur is really, really hyper vanilla. It's just too vanilla, too sweet. Both of these I find to be cloying, so just not for me. So these just are going to be set aside. We'll probably give them away to somebody who I feel like would enjoy more of a sweet perfume. If you like musk, then you are going to want to check out Original and or Sphinx. So the Original is kind of like their pheromone musk scent, very clean, very light, and, you know, supposedly just kind of changes with your body chemistry. The Sphinx is their version of Egyptian musk. So again, very clean. Neither of them, I mean, I actually really like both of them. They're not really the kind of musk that I'm drawn to. I'm not super into the clean musk scent, but you know, it wasn't like neither of them were total scrubbers for me. I didn't feel like I needed to get them off of my skin when I was testing them. Both are very nice. I'm definitely going to hang on to them and wear them every once in a while. I don't typically wear mixed media fragrances all that often, but you know, sometimes, especially in that like cozy winter weather when you're, you know, wanting to, you know, put on your favorite sweater, these would be perfect for that. And moving to the ones that I really, really did enjoy, I was kind of surprised by Poppy. Now, Poppy is very fresh and clean. It has orange blossom in it. That's kind of like one of the more overriding florals of it. I also got some rose. I'm sure rose and jasmine are in here. They're not really listed. Has the tiniest bit of musk. So I would say this is kind of like their like crowd pleaser. I think that Poppy would be really popular. Kind of like that summer, spring, really friendly, put you in a good mood. I can't really imagine too many people not liking it. It's not super sweet. It kind of smells like a freshly picked flower. I don't think I would wear, this wouldn't be like a daily fragrance for me. I would have to be in a very particular mood for this. So of my three favorites, this comes in third. But I liked it. You know, I was, like I said, I was very surprised by it. You know, it's not really complex or it's kind of linear. You know, there's nothing that really changes about it over time, but it's very pleasant. And I mean, and I don't want to say pleasant in a derogatory way, but it's pleasing. It's very pleasing, and and fun to wear. And I really, really like it. I don't know if I would spend, you know, $80 on the 15 ml size. I'm very happy to have this smaller size though. And I think if you like that style of a fragrance, you'd be very happy with it. I think that probably my number 2 favorite out of my top 3 is X. And this is a leathery rose fragrance. And this one really, probably more than Poppy, this one surprised me a lot. I thought this was gonna be really just kind of straightforward and, you know, nothing that special. But again, this also kind of like Poppy has that sort of like freshly picked thing going on. It's very fresh and rosy, but not powdery rosy, and the leather balances out the rose. It's very unique, I would say. And like I said, it took me by surprise. I really enjoyed wearing it. I do feel like this one, more so than Poppy, did evolve over time. And I'm trying to remember, I didn't write any notes, but I'm remembering that I feel like it got a little bit deeper and maybe a little bit sweeter. I don't think it talks about it being ambery. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't mention it being ambery, but I feel like it took on a bit of an amber quality over time. So yeah, X was a big hit for me. And then my favorite, which might not be a big surprise, is Santal. And I feel like this is a great alternative to Le Labo's Santal 33. That has become so ubiquitous. I feel like you smell that all over the place. And I think Santal is a good alternative to that one because of the cardamom. The cardamom in here is just it's so beautiful, and the cardamom is stronger than the sandalwood in here, but you can still smell the sandalwood. So it really is a cardamom sandalwood perfume. It has a little bit of a dark fruitiness to it. It's not super fruity or cloying fruity in any way, but it's like you smell it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a sandalwood perfume, but it's not boring. I don't know. I think the cardamom just, I'm gonna put some more on. The cardamom just makes it very interesting. Even though cardamom seems like it's become more and more popular these days, I feel like this has done it in a unique way, and I think it's because there's more going on here than just the cardamom and the sandalwood, and I think it's that fruity back note. It's either like plum or blackberry or something like that. Cassis possibly. So it's really well done. It's really, really well done. And I would definitely spend $50 on an 8 ml size of this. No question about it. If, you know, when I finish this, I would definitely get the 8 mls, and I would definitely get that before. I do have a spray of the Le Labo Santal that I never use anymore because it's just, I don't know, I don't really enjoy that anymore, but I would definitely get the, I would definitely get this over the Le Labo Santal for sure. So I think that is it for all these perfumes. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else I wanted to say. I probably should have said at the very beginning that I was going to be doing the naturals in the beginning and the mixed media at the end, but I think I'll put that down below so that everybody will know, like in a timestamp, so that if you're totally anti mixed media, then you will see that in the description. If you have any questions about any of these perfumes, definitely feel free to ask, because I know that sometimes this whole like natural perfume world can get a little bit dicey, a little bit confusing, and so feel free to ask. If you have a favorite, you know, natural fall perfume that you just can't wait to wear, that you've been wearing a lot, definitely let me know. I'm always curious to know what natural perfumes everybody's wearing, and even if it's not natural, whatever your favorite perfume is, I would love to hear about it. And I'm just really excited about all these perfumes. I think they're all really beautiful for the most part. I mean, I know that Capri is just definitely not really my style, and the sweeter perfumes from Riddle Oil are not my favorite, but I really love from, like I mentioned, from Riddle Oil, I think X and their Santal are just really beautiful. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these perfume picks, and I will see you in the next video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.